In the sterile, white expanse of Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan, Ethan Mitchell lay motionless on his hospital bed, eyes closed, as if lost in a dream far removed from the sharp antiseptic scent and the monotonous beeping of medical machines. At 38, he was the heir to the Mitchell Hotel empire, a man whose wealth painted a picture of a perfect life, until a car accident 10 days prior branded him a deep coma patient. But Ethan harbored a secret known only to himself. He wasn't comatose. He was faking it, a cunning fox in its den, listening intently to the schemes unfolding around him. Billionaires, it turns out, could be quite the actors. The room was frigid, bathed in the harsh glow of neon lights that gave it the eerie feel of a low-budget sci-fi movie. Though his body remained still, Ethan's senses were sharp. He caught the faint click of a nurse's heels, the subtle aroma of Starbucks coffee wafting through the air. A vivid memory surfaced. The night before the crash, he was driving across the Brooklyn Bridge. Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run blaring through the radio, his thoughts drifting to his father, the man who had built the Mitchell empire from nothing. His father's warning echoed in his mind. Watch out for those who smile to your face. Those words now felt like a chilling prophecy. Ethan hadn't crashed due to recklessness or alcohol. He suspected foul play. Someone had tampered with his Porsche, and pretending to be in a coma was his only way to uncover the truth. Through the narrow slits of his barely cracked eyelids, he recognized the familiar footsteps approaching. His stepmother, Victoria Mitchell, her Chanel perfume a potent marker of her commanding presence, and his cousin Robert, who called him brother, but whose shifty eyes always seemed to be counting money. They paused just outside his room's window, their voices hushed but cutting. "We need to move fast, Robert," Victoria whispered, her tone laced with urgency. "The board won't wait forever." Robert's reply dripped with false sweetness. "Don't worry, the DNR will take care of it. No one suspects a coma patient." Ethan's heart pounded, but his face stayed serene, as if he were dreaming of sunlit Hampton's beaches. A DNR, do not resuscitate? His family certainly knew how to throw a twisted surprise party. As their footsteps receded, adrenaline surged through Ethan. His suspicions were confirmed. His father's legacy was under attack, and the wolves in his family were showing their fangs. But he hadn't anticipated a stranger, a nurse with bright eyes and a warm voice, would soon step into his life, altering not just this covert battle, but his heart as well. In the hospital's cold, sterile light, a faint spark of hope ignited, and Ethan knew the game was only beginning. His mind, though trapped in an unmoving body, was a blazing inferno. Just yesterday, he'd overheard Victoria and Robert discussing the DNR and the board's impatience, their words replaying like a haunting refrain. If this were a Succession episode, Ethan would be the protagonist, betrayed by his own kin. But he wasn't a billionaire who'd wait for the final blow. He was observing, calculating, and he'd already heard too much. Victoria entered the room that morning, her heels clicking with the rhythm of authority. At 55, she was the epitome of ruthless elegance. Blonde hair pulled into a tight bun, a Diane von Furstenberg dress hugging her frame, and eyes as sharp as a blade. She'd once been his father's secretary, a woman from humble Queens roots who thought marrying up was her big win. But Ethan's father left most of the fortune to him, a decision that had festered in Victoria for 2 decades. Even in his stillness, Ethan recalled those tense family dinners, her forced smiles masking the way she gripped her wineglass. Now her voice, dripping with false concern, spoke to a nurse. "My poor son, isn't he? We only want what's best for him." Ethan thought, "Oh, Victoria, if best means burying me early, you'd win Stepmother of the Year." Beside her stood Robert Mitchell, Ethan's 35-year-old cousin, with a toothpaste commercial smile and a cheap suit masquerading as luxury. Robert had once been Ethan's best friend, the brother he'd shared Billy Joel tunes and Coney Island sandwiches with. But when Ethan inherited the empire, Robert's envy turned him sour, constantly griping about deserving a share. Ethan had even funded Robert's startup, only for him to squander it in Atlantic City casinos. Now Robert stood by the bed, sighing theatrically. "He's so strong, but who knows God's plan?" Ethan wanted to spring up and shout, God's got nothing to do with your DNR plot, you fool. But he remained silent, committing every word to memory. A new presence caught Ethan's attention. Nurse Betty, a woman in her 60s with a warm voice and a golden girl sense of humor. She shuffled in, her cheap perfume cutting through the sterile air, joking, "Mr. Mitchell, if you don't wake up, I'll play Dancing Queen to summon your soul." As she adjusted his IV, she grumbled about the hospital's fancy vibe but awful coffee. Ethan, still playing comatose, found comfort in Betty. She was oblivious to the family drama, but her authenticity softened the loneliness of his silent fight. Through a crack in the door, Ethan overheard Victoria and Robert again. "Dr. Larson agreed to sign the DNR," Robert whispered. "Just ensure the board thinks Ethan won't recover." Victoria's reply was cold. "Good. But be careful, Robert. Don't let that new nurse interfere." New nurse? Ethan's curiosity stirred. He didn't yet know that Mia Harrison, set to replace Betty the next day, would enter his life like an autumn breeze, bringing kindness and a keen suspicion that would change everything. In the hospital's stark light, the plot thickened, but Ethan felt a glimmer of hope. This battle, he swore, wouldn't end on Victoria's terms. Mia Harrison knew nothing of the Mitchell empire or the sinister schemes woven by Victoria and Robert. To her, Ethan Mitchell was simply a coma patient, a strikingly handsome man with tousled black hair and a face that seemed to dream of cheering at a Yankee Stadium game. As she checked his IV, she muttered softly, "Hey, Mr. Mitchell, if you can hear me, give me a sign. I bet you're a Mets fan, right?" Ethan, unable to move, felt a laugh bubble inside him. The Mets? This girl clearly didn't know he was a lifelong Yankees devotee. But Mia's sincere, playful tone pierced through the isolation of his self-imposed coma, offering a rare moment of warmth in his carefully crafted facade. During her breaks, Mia often listened to literature podcasts, keeping one earbud in to stay alert for patient alarms. That day, while carefully dressing Ethan's bandages, she left the podcast playing and shared her thoughts aloud. "They say The Great Gatsby is about the American dream, but I think it's just a fool loving the wrong person. What do you think, huh?" In his mind, Ethan shouted, "You're right, but Gatsby had style." He found himself eagerly awaiting Mia's visits, not because she was oblivious to the DNR plots or inheritance schemes, but because her presence brought a genuine connection he hadn't felt in years. One evening, as Mia cleaned the medical equipment in Ethan's room, she overheard a hushed, urgent conversation through the crack in the door. It was Robert speaking on the phone. "Doctor Larson, you need to sign the DNR by Friday. Victoria won't wait longer." Mia froze, her heart racing. A DNR, do not resuscitate? She wasn't an expert, but she knew such an order required consent from the patient or a legal guardian. Ethan's vitals showed no signs of decline. Why the rush? Glancing at him, a chilling thought crossed her mind. Was someone trying to harm him? From that moment, Mia began sharing more with Ethan, treating him like a silent confidant. She spoke of her mother, of quiet nights listening to Fleetwood Mac on an old radio, and her dream of opening a community center in Brooklyn where kids could learn to read. "I know you can't hear me," she said, adjusting his pillow with care, "but talking to you makes me feel lighter. Don't tell anyone, okay?" Ethan, still motionless, felt a warmth spread through him. He longed to wink, to whisper, "Your secret's safe with me." But he could only listen, committing her words to memory, each one a lifeline in his silent battle. As Mia left the room, she was unaware that her suspicion had planted a crucial seed. Ethan, shrouded in the darkness of his pretense, sensed an unexpected ally. Mia wasn't just his nurse. She was a beacon in this covert war. For the first time in days, he felt a flicker of hope, not just to survive the schemes against him, but to find something truly worth fighting for. The next morning, Mia pushed her medical cart through Mount Sinai's sterile hallways, her heart still pounding from Robert's phone call the previous night. "Dr. Larson, you need to sign the DNR by Friday. Victoria won't wait longer." The words replayed in her mind like a stuck Billy Joel track on an old cassette player. As a nurse, Mia understood a DNR was meant for hopeless cases, but Ethan Mitchell, with his steady heartbeat and functioning lungs, was far from that. She glanced at his chart, muttering under her breath, "If this were ER, I'd have called the cops in episode 1. But this wasn't a TV drama, and Mia wasn't a hero. She was a 29-year-old Brooklyn native, struggling to pay off nursing school debt while honoring her late mother's wish for her to live a kind life. Checking Ethan's IV, Mia noticed his sedative dose hadn't been adjusted despite his stable vitals, a detail that struck her as odd. She recalled Dr. Larson, a middle-aged man with gold-rimmed glasses, who conducted Ethan's checkups. His visits were always brief, lasting mere minutes, and he dodged her questions about Ethan's condition with a curt, "Just following orders." His evasive gaze had sparked her suspicion, a nagging feeling she couldn't shake. Mia knew she had to act, but she also knew the risks. If Victoria and Robert were indeed plotting to harm Ethan, she was stepping into a dangerous game. During a break, she sought out Dr. Clara Evans, a veteran physician whom Betty had praised as the only one here not scared of power. Clara, with her salt and pepper hair and sharp tone, listened intently as Mia explained the unchanged sedative dose and Robert's call. "You sure, Harrison?" Clara asked, her brow furrowed. "That's a heavy accusation." Mia nodded, her resolve firm, but when Clara contacted hospital administration, the response was cold. Mrs. Mitchell requested Dr. Larson oversee everything. Leaving Clara's office, Mia felt as though she'd slammed into a brick wall. A storm of conflict raged within her. Pursuing this could cost her job, the only thing keeping her afloat amid mounting bills. But when she returned to Ethan's room and saw him lying there, motionless yet exuding a strange vitality, she couldn't turn away. "Mr. Mitchell," she whispered, adjusting his pillow, "I don't know if you can hear me, but I won't let them turn you into a Monopoly piece." Ethan, unable to respond, felt a surge of warmth. Mia, with her Brooklyn humor and fierce determination, was becoming his light in the darkness of his deception, a beacon of hope in a world of betrayal. Ethan Mitchell had been lying motionless at Mount Sinai Hospital for 2 weeks, his body still, but his mind a battlefield, strategizing like a warrior readying for a counterstrike. Feigning a coma was the most audacious plan he'd ever concocted, more daring than the time he persuaded the board to launch a hotel in Vegas. Now, with Mia Harrison, the nurse whose warm voice and Brooklyn tenacity broke through his isolation, Ethan no longer felt alone. The recording Mia had secured of Victoria and Robert's DNR conspiracy was his trump card, but he knew he needed to reveal his consciousness to Mia, at least to transform this silent war into an open battle. And damn, waking up proved far more challenging than playing dead. Mia, after sending the incriminating recording to Dr. Clara, became increasingly vigilant. She checked on Ethan daily, searching for any sign that he wasn't truly comatose. One morning, as she adjusted his IV, grumbling about the hospital coffee tasting like dishwater, she noticed a subtle movement. Ethan's left finger twitched, a small gesture as if he were tapping along to Billy Joel's Piano Man. Mia froze, her heart racing. "Mr. Mitchell? If you can hear me, do it again." She waited, breath held, and the finger twitched once more. Mia nearly let out a shout but quickly regained her composure, glancing at the door to ensure no one had witnessed the moment. Ethan, though weakened by the lingering sedatives, recognized this as his opportunity. He couldn't speak or sit up, but he could move a finger and blink. Mia, with her sharp intuition, understood immediately. She whispered, "Okay, Mr. Mitchell, let's play Jeopardy. 1 blink for yes, 2 for no. Can you hear me?" Ethan blinked once. Mia's face lit up with a grin, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Great. You know someone's playing dirty, right?" Another blink. She nodded as if she'd just found a partner in a Law & Order episode. They established a wordless communication system, blinks for yes or no questions, a light hand squeeze for emphasis. Ethan had never imagined talking this way, but with Mia it felt like a genuine conversation, a lifeline in his isolated struggle. Over the following days, Mia spoke to Ethan more openly, both to test his responsiveness and to share parts of herself. She told him about her dream of opening a community center in Brooklyn, a place where kids could read The Great Gatsby without the burden of hunger. My mom always said books are the cheapest way to travel the world, she said, adjusting his pillow with care. Ethan, with a gentle squeeze of her hand, seemed to reply, "Your mom was right." One day, Mia's hand lingered in his a little longer than necessary, and a strange warmth passed between them. Ethan wanted to blink 3 times to say, "You're amazing," but he held back. Now wasn't the time for a "when Harry met Sally" moment of romance. Danger, however, approached faster than either anticipated. Victoria, with instincts as keen as a hawk's, began to suspect Ethan might not be fully comatose. She ordered Dr. Larson to schedule a sudden neurological exam, bringing in an outside specialist to assess Ethan's condition. The news reached Betty, the veteran nurse, who warned Mia in the break room. "Kid, Victoria's playing hardball," Betty said, chewing gum as if watching an action movie unfold. "If they test him and see a response, the game's over." Mia's face paled, and she hurried to Ethan's room. She leaned in close, whispering urgently, "Mr. Mitchell, if you hear me, don't move during the test. I know you're strong, but you've got to play dead better than ever." Ethan blinked once, a wave of gratitude washing over him for this fierce ally. The exam took place the next morning. The neurologist, a stern man with thick glasses, tested Ethan's reflexes while Victoria and Robert stood nearby, their gazes sharp as blades. Mia, pretending to organize medical tools, bit her lip to conceal her anxiety. Ethan, summoning every ounce of willpower, kept his body perfectly still, though his heart roared with defiance. "I'm alive, and I'll make you pay." The specialist finally concluded. No response. Coma persists. Victoria exhaled in relief, but her eyes lingered on Ethan, still tinged with suspicion. Once they left, Mia discreetly squeezed Ethan's hand, whispering, "You did great. Now we need to move fast." Through that light squeeze, Ethan felt the depth of Mia's courage. She wasn't just protecting him from the DNR plot. She was giving him a reason to fight, a purpose beyond survival. In the hospital's cold, sterile light, amid the hum of machines and the sharp scent of antiseptic, an unbreakable alliance formed. Ethan knew that with Mia by his side, he could not only survive this betrayal, but also discover something money couldn't buy. Someone who truly cared. After navigating the nerve-wracking exam, Ethan, still confined to his hospital bed, felt like a general in a war tent, plotting his next move. He knew time was slipping away. Victoria and Robert were hastening their DNR scheme, and if he didn't act soon, the Mitchell empire, his father's hard-earned legacy, would fall into the hands of vultures masquerading as family. With Mia Harrison, the Brooklyn nurse whose brave heart and voice echoed like a Billy Joel classic, Ethan wasn't just gaining an ally, he had found a reason to truly wake up. And damn, he never thought he'd be orchestrating a revenge plan through blinks and hand squeezes, a testament to the unexpected partnership that had blossomed in the unlikeliest of places. Avery agreed to meet Mia at the Duncan shop, but danger loomed unexpectedly. As Mia prepared to send the recording, she spotted Robert at the counter, mere steps away, ordering coffee. In his cheap suit, his shifty eyes scanned the room, searching for someone. Mia's heart raced as she slid her phone under the table, pretending to study the menu, debating between munchkins and a latte. Robert's gaze landed on her, his brow furrowing. "You work at Mount Sinai, right?" he asked, his voice dripping with false sweetness. Mia forced a smile, replying, "Yeah, but today I'm just hunting donuts." Robert nodded and walked off, but Mia knew she'd narrowly dodged disaster. Her hands trembled as she sent the recording to Avery via encrypted email, accidentally spilling coffee on a napkin in her rush. At their meeting, Avery listened to the recording, his face darkening with anger. "Victoria and Robert have crossed a line," he said. "Ethan's father would have flipped a table over this." He explained the recording could support charges of attempted murder and financial fraud, but Ethan needed to appear publicly to solidify the case. Mia nodded, though concern gnawed at her. "Mr. Mitchell's still weak. Can he handle this if we rush?" Avery placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've done what no one else dared. He'll be okay, thanks to you." Back at Mount Sinai, Mia shared the plan with Ethan, whispering under the dim hospital lights. We'll get you to the board meeting next week. Avery says it's our chance to expose everything. Ethan blinked once, then squeezed her hand firmly as if saying, "You're my hero." Mia blushed, chuckling. "Don't make me shy, Mr. Mitchell. I just want you alive to argue about the Yankees and Mets." Amid the antiseptic smell and machine beeps, a deeper connection formed between them, a bond forged in trust and shared purpose. Ethan knew that with Mia and Avery by his side, he could reclaim his legacy. But this fight was about more than wealth. It was about the kindness Mia showed him, a reminder that goodness still existed in a cutthroat world. The upcoming board meeting would be his final stand, and though still bedridden, Ethan felt ready to rise. 2 days later, Ethan Mitchell strode into the boardroom at Mitchell Hotel's Manhattan headquarters, his eyes sharp like a poker player revealing a royal flush. He'd been motionless at Mount Sinai, feigning a coma to escape Victoria and Robert's DNR plot. But now, thanks to Mia's damning recording, he was ready to take back what was his. Beside him stood Mia, in a borrowed business suit from Betty, looking like a Suits character but with a warm smile that made Ethan want to wink in gratitude. This wasn't just a battle for wealth, it was for justice, and perhaps something deeper between them. The sleek boardroom, with its walnut table and panoramic views of New York's skyline, fell silent as Ethan entered. Victoria, in a striking red dress, froze, her Starbucks cup nearly slipping from her hand. Robert, his fake smile faltering, stammered, "Ethan, you're awake?" The board members whispered, their eyes wide as if witnessing a Succession-style plot twist. Ethan's voice, low and cutting, filled the room. "Yes, I'm awake, and I heard everything, from the DNR plan to how you'd sell off my father's legacy." Before Victoria could respond, Ethan played the recording on the projector. Her cold voice echoed, "Larson signed the DNR. Just fake the medical report." Robert added, "No one suspects a comatose billionaire." The room buzzed with murmurs. Director James Carver, a longtime ally of Victoria, stood, his eyes darting nervously. "This could be fabricated," he protested. "Ethan just woke up. Who knows if he's framing us?" But Ethan was prepared, displaying old emails between Carver and Victoria that revealed their plan to sell company shares to a rival. Carver's face drained of color as he sank back into his seat, defeated. The meeting ended with handcuffs. Victoria and Robert were led away by police, facing charges of attempted murder and financial fraud. Carver was suspended, pending investigation. As the room cleared, Ethan turned to Mia, smiling. "You just turned me from Gatsby to James Bond, Ms. Harrison." Mia blushed, laughing. "Bond owes me a donut, Mr. Mitchell." They left the room, New York sunlight streaming through the windows, as if the city itself applauded their victory. Ethan knew the battle was over, but a new journey, with Mia, had just begun. A month after the dramatic showdown, Ethan Mitchell and Mia Harrison strolled through Central Park, New York's sunset casting a golden glow on the trees. Gone were the tense boardroom and Mount Sinai's antiseptic smell. Only rustling leaves and a street artist playing Piano Man on an accordion remained. Ethan, now recovered, wore a simple sweater, far from the suited billionaire. Mia, her Brooklyn smile radiant, held a Dunkin' coffee teasing, "Mr. Mitchell, I'm still waiting on that donut you promised." Ethan chuckled, gently taking her hand. The battle with Victoria and Robert was over. They awaited trial, and the Mitchell empire was his again. But Mia meant more. She didn't just save him from the DNR plot. She showed him kindness outshone any fortune. He funded her dream, a Brooklyn community center. But Mia insisted on running it herself. "I don't need you to be my Gatsby," she said, eyes bright. "Just be Ethan." Under the fading sunlight, Mia paused, looking at him. "We won because of heart, not money," she said firmly. Ethan pulled her closer, whispering, "And your heart is what I want to keep most." They stood blending into Piano Man's melody, making no grand promises, just knowing their future held Billy Joel, nights, sandwiches, and building something real. Central Park, a silent witness, smiled. If you enjoyed this dramatic story, don't forget to like and share the video so your friends can enjoy it too. Make sure to subscribe to the Soul and Love Stories channel to never miss out on the next exciting tales. Thank you for being with us.